I've been reading some more from Eugene Genlin this morning in this book called something like Experience and the Creation of Meaning. I might not have got the title quite right, but something like that. And the main theme that's running through it, I've only got about halfway through it so far, but the main theme that's running through it is this notion of the felt sense, as he calls it, which is something that he's developed quite a lot in a lot of his writings, and indeed in his psychotherapeutic practice, particularly in relation to a psychotherapeutic methodology called focusing that he talks about elsewhere. But as I say, this idea of the felt sense, usually in inverted commas, runs through this particular book, and it's kind of an exploration of the role of the felt sense, what it means, and how it relates to what he calls symbolic meaning, which is explicit meaning, meanings that you can put into words and kind of identify. Okay, I was thinking several things about that. I mean, one of the first things that I'm intrigued by with that is to do with how he kind of figures the relationship between felt sense and explicit symbolized meanings. And there clearly is a relationship, but for me it's a relationship of metaphor, kind of synesthetic metaphor. Synesthetic exchange seems to take place, whereby certain meaning generative processes are discussed as being felt, i.e. tactile, if you like. They're responding to the sense of touch or the sense of proprioception, kinesthetic senses, really up close to the body, or possibly even internal to the body. And the exercises that he does in relation to this are all about sort of feeling oneself to be going inside the body and finding spaces there. So it's a very interior sense. Well, that's the metaphor that accompanies this idea of the felt sense in Gendlin and elsewhere, actually. But the processes by which the felt sense becomes available symbolically, or I suppose you might say come to compose symbolic sense, which is perhaps something I'll come on to, is a process of exteriorization almost. There's something very external about the symbolic and the explicit. It's almost as if these internal processes have kind of disgorged through some kind of creative digestion, I guess, have kind of disgorged this piece of meaning out into the world where it becomes visually available, explicit. And here I'm kind of reminded of the origins of the word explicit, which I think comes from Latin, meaning to unfold or to unroll. The word explicit was written at the end of manuscripts, rolled manuscripts at one point, where we would now write the end. The idea is that the information is kind of unrolled in front of oneself and is now laid out like a road or a path in front of oneself. So so the felt sense, in Gendlin's terms, becomes available symbolically and explicitly through a process of exteriorization. And it ceases to become a sense associated with touch and proprioception and kinesthetics, and becomes a sense associated with the eyes, with all of the distance and objectivity and detachment and interpersonal availability that visual things have. If something is out there in the world, then there is good reason to suppose that other people can see it. It has that kind of interpersonal, empirical status. Whereas if something is interior to my body and is only available through my felt sense, then it's not interpersonally available. It's not part of the empirical shared world. So I think one of the things that Gendlin's doing in that is doing this kind of synesthetic exchange, or if he's not. Or he's recognizing it, I guess, more accurately. I don't think he's inventing these metaphors out of nothing. I think he's recognizing the part of the cognitive processes by which we go through that kind of realization. is by the kind of wielding of those metaphors non-consciously. And here I guess I'm leaning on Lakoff and Johnson's work and general work of cognitive linguistics and embodied cognition there really.